Good evening, everyone. Um, my name is Craig Harden. I'm 54 years old and I am from London, Kentucky. Wanted to talk about the video here. We wanted to talk about how a life changing event that wasn't our salvation or our conversion. And one of the things I wanted to basically tell you about, first of all, I have a full time job. I work out of town. I only see my family on the weekends. Plus, as most of you can see, and after watching some of the videos, I seem to be good possibility I'm the senior person in the class. I've been doing Liberty now for 4 years, and good Lord willing, come this fall, I'll be able to say I'm finally finished with all my classes and able to walk away with a degree, which leads me to the life-changing event that I wanted to speak about. Back in December of 2013, my grandfather, 91 years old, pastor, um, very influential person in the community, led many people to Christ, was also a teacher, and helped develop a lot of young kids. I being one of those, due to the fact that I wasn't privileged enough to have a father, but I did have a grandfather, a mentor, and a best friend. But my grandfather had Alzheimer's, and I lost him on January the 7th, 2014. Now, that doesn't sound like it's a life-changing event, except for the fact that a few months later, a friend of mine asked me if I would be willing to do the Wilmington School of the Bible. We were the member of a jail ministry team, and together we had worked the ministry, and we were involved in the ministry, and I don't know if you want to call it successful, but we had a good rapport with the gentleman up at the local correctional facility. So we got together, we started doing this school, and before I knew it, what I turned out to be where I was going to help him with the school. And I did help him a lot, and he helped me. But I started using my grandfather's books where I'd lost him in January. 4 months later, I'm in school, and I'm starting to use his books, and I'm starting to get closer and closer to him through my schoolwork. But through the same process, through reading his books and seeing his handwriting, what turned into a journey, what was supposed to have been a journey to get closer to my grandfather, actually became a journey that drove me and made me get closer to my real father. It made me realize that where I thought I was going down the right trail, I might not be doing everything right. I started gaining knowledge. I started getting closer and closer to Jesus himself. And through all this time, I'm thinking that I'm helping a friend, and I'm getting closer to my grandfather, which I was, and I'm indebted to the school for that. But I also became closer to Christ. Through all this time, a lot has happened in my life, but the one thing that stayed constant is I've been able to somehow, through all the toils of being an operations manager and having a full-time job, working 40 to 60 to 70 hours a week when needed, being away from my family during the week and then traveling home on the weekends, I've been able to sustain this pace for the last 4 years and become closer and closer and closer to Christ. So what started out as a tragedy of losing my grandfather, and that should have changed everything in my perspective because of the loss I feel, all turned out to be a feeling, turned out to filling me with what I needed to know and where I needed to be and what I needed to work on. It's enabled me to become closer to my family, closer to my daughter, closer to my mother. I lost my grandmother last year, but I was able to understand that, yes, I'm 54 years old and I'm what some may say over the hill, but I look at it as I'm starting a path, that I'm finally starting the path to go uphill to where I want to end up, and that would be next to my father in the end. So a tragedy is hopefully at this time is still working its way out to be a triumph. So lastly, as my boss would tell me here at work, never say never, never say never. You never know when tragedy is going to turn to triumph, just like the Father says.